Hello, karting enthusiasts. I am back. This is the 2026 season right here at the OVKA out there in Camden, Ohio. We're racing at beautiful G&J Kartway. This is race 1 of the 2026 season. I'm coming back. I'm the defending champion in the Legends class. On this day, we've got 12 participants. Not too bad for the first race of the season. And I'll apologize right now. My voice is a little bit goofy from having a cold. And also, somehow, I don't know what I hit on my Insta360 X4, but I did something to change the settings, and I only recorded in straight ahead view. No 360, unfortunately, for this video, which is a bummer because it would have come in handy in the final, which you'll see a little bit later on. So we got the wave around for that first start. We're going to come back around. I'll discuss the qualifying and things like that here in a second once we get the race underway. We're going to come back and try again. I didn't really know what was wrong with that first start. Maybe something was going on behind me, but in front of me it looked like we all took off pretty evenly and about when we should have. But I'm starting in position 3. I'm back in my Ricciardo kart. Same kart I drove for the majority of the season last year. Come around, I get an okay start, but the outside is always fast, I think. I prefer to be in positions 2 or 4 on the start here at G&J because you really do get a good run out. And as you see, the 84, he had dropped back a little bit going into the turn, but his momentum was good coming out of the exit of the first turn, and he just blew on past me. So I have a little bit of a gap. Not too bad. The temperature was in the upper 50s or mid 50s around this point in the day. I think we got up over 60, but it started out pretty darn cold in the morning. It was in the 30s for a little while. I just got up, threw on a sweatshirt, and left, thinking, you know, I'd already looked at the weather forecast and saw that it was going to be in the 60s or low 60s. Well, I didn't consider the fact that it was going to be, I was going to get there and the sun was still going to be down, and it would still be pretty damn cold when I got there. So anyways, I suffered through, and now it's pretty nice out. But the first 2 laps were pretty greasy feeling for me on my tires. I will say the tires I'm running right now, I mounted them on these rims with about 2 or 3 races to go in the 2024 season, and I ran them every time I ran this kart last year. So I have about 9 races on these, and they seem to be doing decent. I am going to mount up a new set for the second race, but you know, I practiced on these in the morning, and they didn't seem bad with the temperature out there, so I kept them on. So for qualifying, they have a new thing going on this year where on our second practice, whatever your fastest times are there, that sets the qualifying order. Kind of like a happy hour, I guess. I actually had the fastest lap in the happy hour type practice and jumped into qualifying, and I took off, and you know, I was the first guy out. I thought I was cooking, you know. I was looking at my Micron. I was doing a little bit faster than I had in that second practice. So I'm like, oh hell, man, I'm killing it out here. And then I got passed by the 73. Turns out he went back after that second practice and made a gear change that had some very good positive effects for him. And he just drove right past me in qualifying. Kind of startled me. So I knew I needed to do something. I ended up qualifying 3rd, actually. I'm not sure if the 84 made a similar change or not. He and I had almost the same times, but the 73 was a good 3/10 faster than us in qualifying. So he kind of blew our doors off with that gear change. So in this race, I have made a gear change myself, and it's keeping me relatively close. Basically, went a little taller in the gearing. As you can see ahead of me, the 84 did get past the 73. They're battling it out up there, and you know, I'm liking that because generally when that starts to happen, they get slower lap times, and I can usually close up a gap. Like right here, I came screaming up on them. And, you know, I really didn't have what would have been a safe option to pass the 84 back there, so I did not try anything, although I think I had the momentum and the speed to try something. I just didn't want to get gathered up in the first race, or the first, the first race of the first race this season. I did take my cart in the off season to Bill Hamble over in Indianapolis to get the frame checked out. It was actually not too bad. It wasn't too bent out of shape, but he's got me straightened out, dialed in, and everything, and the cart was handling pretty good. I am running new hubs that are not the same as what I was running last year on the front. I had Freeline hubs on the front last year, but the Grands was tough on them, and I destroyed one, so I didn't have a full set of Freelines. So I bought some wild carts. They're not quite as long as what I had with the Freelines, but I don't seem to be suffering in any handling. It felt pretty good to me. Although I might do a little bit of small changes just to see if it helps a little bit for the next race, but I didn't make any changes to my chassis at all this day. It was, everybody's kind of rusty. I don't know if anybody had much practice time. I know the 73 did get out and practice the day before this race. I went out the week before in practice. I'm not sure if the 84 did. I don't think that he did. But we had an okay gap on the rest of the field right now. I think fourth place is maybe like a second and a half or so back from our little group. But, my lap times have come around. I'm able to hang around with these guys. You can see on my Micron, I got in the 44s on one of my laps, probably my last lap. And we're just, we're logging laps right now. But we're on the last lap, so again, I'm in third place. I don't mind starting on the second row in P1, so I'm not going to push anything. But I was definitely making up a little ground on those guys through that one corner down there, down close to where the opening of the gate is. So that's the end of the pre-final. I'm actually going to keep both of these videos together in this video. We had an 8-lap pre-final, and we were going to have a 10-lap final. So I finished in third out of 12, so I'm going to start right where I started the pre-final in the final, which will be coming up momentarily. We were last in the running order, which, it is what it is. I do not like it, but, that's how they set it up. If they made some kind of change later on in the season where we ran a little earlier in the schedule, I'd be fine with it, but, I'm not going to be a whiner. Go sit there and try to boo-hoo and say, can't we run earlier? Last year we had a pretty good spot. I think we're like third or fourth in the order, and I like that, but, maybe it's our turn to be last in the order. So we're on the grid, and you can see it's a little later in the day. It's weird. I kind of thought it seemed like it might have started to sprinkle during this race. And you'll notice a little bit of moisture gathering up on my lens as I'm driving, but I didn't notice it when I was driving. It just felt like it was weird. I'm like, is it going to rain while we're out here? And it doesn't, but the clouds don't look good for the majority of this race. And I probably should have wiped off my lens before I went out. Although it's not terrible, it could have been wiped off a little bit. So again, it's a little, the sun isn't out as much as it was in that pre-final, so it's a little bit cooler. And I had actually lowered my tire pressures about a pound, nothing drastic. But I will say that I on these first couple of laps, it was kind of slick feeling, So we're coming around, and I believe we're gonna get the green on the very first try right here. Got the 318 on me, right to my right. But I get a good start right here, I'm going to slide a little bit, but not too much. I checked, I was clear, and I was able to come out and take and give the 73 a bump, which he apparently liked. But we both, were slipping and sliding around these corners a little bit. And you can see turn to the right there, try to keep it under control. Now I'm being, again, you can see the moisture hitting a little bit on my camera, and we're definitely slick and the sun's gone. And so I'm going hard, but I'm being semi-cautious, as I don't want to spin out because it's pretty slick. But also I think what is happening is right behind me, the 84 is right on my tail, or he's pretty close to me. And we're going to have a not good thing for me happen up here pretty soon. As we go around this right-hander, you know, the 84 can see what we're doing, and I was a little bit slick, so I kind of overshot it a hair. He's coming up on the inside of me. You're going to see him poke right up here on the left of me. I see him, so I give him room around this corner, but he ends up just drifting out and nailing me in the back a little bit, enough to spin me around off his front end like that. So it did absolutely nothing bad to my kart, but I think I'm now like 16 seconds behind everybody. And this is only a 10 lapper. So I was like, oh man. Because I really did not expect that. I mean, that's not any place that anybody gets spun out. Somebody's hat was laying on the track. I don't know where that came from, but a baseball cap was laying on the track back there. But, you know, I did everything I thought I needed to do. I gave the 84 plenty of room on the inside to go around that corner. And I think, you know, and he was one. I talked to him afterwards. He said he was going to give me the space back. You know, he was going to drop in behind me. So maybe he turned just a little bit too early and got me in the pods, because I've got a bunch of donuts there now. So, I mean, obviously I got bumped or I wouldn't have spun around like that. So, you know, he kind of got me there. But, you know, it's not intentional. It's one of those things that happens. It just was, it was just a bummer, because I end up running, you know, in the grand scheme of things, my last 3 laps of this race were the 3 fastest laps anybody ran in the race. And I probably could have contended and potentially won this race, but I basically spent my whole race, like as you can see, there's basically nobody in front of me. So I'm trying to drive my butt off to catch up and at least see if I can knock off a couple of people. And, you know, spoiler alert, the only people that I do end up passing out of the 12 people are some of my buddies that, you know, I'm wondering if they're going to have a family meeting afterwards, because they're related to each other, and they're both going to be tangled up coming off of turn 3 here in about 2 or 3 laps. So I didn't really get to talk to him after the race, so I don't know what happened there, but I'll find out at the next race. But I'm just out here just busting, just trying to get going. And you know, I did realize some things that I was not doing earlier in the day, and was able to make some adjustments that I think will help me, you know, as the season goes on. But it would have sure been nice to get a win or second place points on this. I end up finishing 9th out of 12, and it's right back there is where I spun, and I was surprised how far it pushed me down the track, because when you look, I almost made it all the way to the next corner. But when I'll talk about it again when I get up to that corner. But when, you know, where the accident happened, I gave the inside, you know, space, and, you know, I went all the way out to as far as I could go without running in the dirt, and then that's about when the contact happened, and I went around. And I'm glad it didn't mess up my car, it didn't mess up my tires or anything like that. I just took right back off. I wish these go-karts had a little tighter turning radius, you know. Yeah, so right there, I'd gone out to the edge, and when he bumped me, that was game over. But yeah, I was surprised to see this much, you know, a little bit of raindrops collecting on my, you know, on my lens, but I didn't notice it at all driving. So our next race is going to be the week after Easter. I'm looking forward to that. My plan this year is to race this kart in every 206 race. Last year, I swapped back and forth between this kart and my Kart Republic, and my results were always much better in this Ricardo kart. Again, there's the family member stuck in the grass over there getting ready to pull out. And those were, you know, so I passed the one guy right away after getting spun, and then I got past those two guys. So I'm going to end up finishing 9th out of 12. And we're probably getting to the point now where I start knocking out the faster laps. I think I start making up time. I'll tell you when it is up there. And also, I am able to see that, you know, I am trying hard now. I'm like, I really want to catch these two carts in front of me. But I know it's not a long race. It's only a 10-lapper, which typically we run like 12, 13, maybe sometimes even 15. Depends on the weather sometimes. But I guess, you know, because we're old, sometimes they try to turn our laps down a little bit so none of us old guys die of a heart attack or something like that. But I'm just giving it hell coming through here. And like I said, they're getting closer. When I looked at the times afterwards, I was... Well, that was that. Well, I think that's 2 laps to go. He didn't do this. He didn't do the signal right. It looked like the halfway point signal, but it's 2 laps to go right now, I believe. But I was cutting about a second out on the guys in front of me. And also when I looked at the times afterwards, after the lap when I got spun around right through the section, I was like about 16 seconds behind the leaders at the conclusion of what would have been lap 2. And I was able to make up about 2 seconds on them. I think I finished about 14 seconds behind the leaders. Yeah, so we're coming down to the white flag, and I'm like, oh man. Getting close. I know I'm gonna make up a good chunk down here, which you'll see here in a second. I definitely get a good chunk coming into this. I was practicing my threshold braking. Can't remember if I was watching a Ryan Norberg video on, you know, the benefits of doing that. So I've been trying that a little bit. But you know, they're right there. I'm gonna close up good on them right here again too. I was hitting this corner pretty good as the day got going, and probably better than I have. And I was bummed. I was like, damn it, I needed 2 more laps, and I think I could have moved up to 7th place, which would have been a benefit. You know, hopefully I don't have any other bad races, because if so, this is gonna, you know, I'm gonna need this to be a drop race. We have a 10 race, or I think it's 10, maybe 12 races, I don't know. But you typically get 2 drops, so I'm hoping this is gonna be one of them. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. It was a bummer of a day, but I did have the 3 fastest laps in this race, even though I finished 9th. So I know I have the speed, so I'm looking to bounce back in the next one. Talk to y'all later.